I'm Joy Kelly, and welcome to another episode of Cook with Joy. This week we're doing special holiday editions of Cook with Joy to help you have the healthiest, most fun, most delicious, most nutritious Thanksgiving ever. And we're going to start, of course, with pumpkin. That's why I'm dressed in pumpkin today. And we're going to make a dish today that I got out of a magazine. And you might think that I just make all this stuff up all the time, but no. I got this, I tore it out, I never made it, but it comes from a really fantastic vegan chef in New York City. Chloe is her name, Chloe Coscarelli, and she's adorable. And this is the first time I'm making this dish, so let's hope it turns out. I've got all the stuff, so let's give it a try. So there's a couple of things that are really popular right now. One is pumpkin. Pumpkin is everywhere, and I think it tastes really good. You get a pumpkin latte at Starbucks, there's pumpkin bread, etc., etc. And I love pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving, but what are the benefits of pumpkin? Because when you go to Starbucks, it's loaded up with sugar and caffeine and all that stuff. I don't think that's very good for you. But canned pumpkin, whole pumpkin, according to Derek, my fearless videographer, says that it is the highest food source of beta carotene. Now, you shouldn't get beta carotene as an isolate because our body doesn't distinguish between all the different kinds of carotenoids. So if you get too much beta carotene in isolation, you stop absorbing the other carotenoids that your body needs. So getting beta carotene from a whole food like pumpkin is really awesome. And now that I know it's the highest in beta carotene, I'm going to eat a lot more pumpkin. So I'm excited about that. Beta carotene is great for your eyesight.
What about vitamin A?
Vitamin A, yeah, that's in there too. He did all the research on this, so now he's an expert. So I just said, Derek, well, I changed clothes. Look up pumpkin. Tell me about it. So he's the expert today, so he's going to be chiming in probably on pumpkin because now he's the expert. The other thing that's really popular if you go out to restaurants is risotto. And it's actually made from rice, which I found out some people don't know. Some people confuse arborio rice with orzo, thinking that it's a gluten product, but it's not. It's a harmless little rice. But what happens is when people get their hands on it, they mix it up with a bunch of cheese and butter and cream and all that stuff, so it's not a healthy. What we're going to do today is we're going to match it with pumpkin, and we're going to get great beta carotene and a really healthful rice mixed together, and you're going to love it. So I've already got some low sodium veggie broth cooking on the back because that's the key to getting the rice the way that you want to have it. You've got to have the broth boiling, and then we're going to add it to the ingredients in this ginormous skillet. So we're going to use some olive oil, and I don't normally cook with olive oil, but this recipe calls for it, and because I've never done it before, I'm going to also use the olive oil. So we're going to use olive oil, and it calls for 5 tablespoons. Now, you probably could get away with doing some tablespoons and some broth, but as I said, because I've never done it before, I'm going to follow the recipe exactly, and then I'm just going to start making stuff up. So we've got the oil going, and it says to get it really hot, so we're going to put it on the stove. I'm going to switch it with the broth because the broth looks like it's doing fine, and I'll keep the broth on in the front. Okay, there we go. So we've got it all going, and then I'm going to finely chop up the onion. Now, I know it sounds funny, but when it says finely chopped, they really mean finely chopped. Now, finely chopped does not mean mince. Mince is like little tiny pieces that it's almost liquid. So you want to read the recipe carefully, and then if you want to start making your own stuff up, that's fine. Everybody's going to find the way they like it. But I'm going to finely chop this onion, and then I'm going to add it to the pan once the olive oil is really hot. And that is the secret to getting the onions nice and brown and soft the way we want them. Okay, so I think I've got this finely chopped. We're going to add this to the pan. Okay, all done with that. Now, I think it's pretty daring of me to be filming a recipe I've never made. Don't you think, Derek?
You're a hero.
I am. So we're going to let the onions cook for about 3 minutes, and then we're going to add finely minced garlic. And this is important. One thing people like to do is buy already minced garlic and already peeled garlic, and my research into this indicates that that is not a good idea because it actually releases some of the allicin and the other beneficial nutrients that are in garlic. So even though it is a pain in the tuchus to do this, I always do garlic fresh. So it's your health, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to do mine fresh. And let's add that to the pan too.
What about powdered garlic?
Yeah, well, I guess if you're a bachelor, and that's as close as you're going to get to it, but but I don't know enough about powdered garlic. I have used it before, and on one of my episodes I'm going to show you how to use granulated onion to get a really brown texture on something without having to use butter. So that is a good use for it, Derek. All right, let's stir that up a little bit. Okay, now comes the tricky part. We've got that nice garlic and onion mixture going with the olive oil. We're going to add a cup of the arborio rice, just a cup, that's all we're going to use. And then we're going to start adding the broth and let the broth get absorbed by the rice. That's the secret. So I've got the rice spread out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding cups of the broth. We've got 5 cups of the broth, remember? And it's boiling, that's really important. And I'm going to add that until it all gets absorbed. And this happens pretty fast. Now I know sometimes when people make risotto, they don't think it matters that you add all the liquid at one time, but I have made enough risotto to know that it really does matter. And a lot of times when people do this, they're using milk products, and we're not. We're just using a broth, and this is going to be really, really, really delicious. And because we use low sodium broth, it's going to be even better for you. Okay, so you can see how the broth is getting absorbed by the rice, and it is kind of a slow process, and you do have to keep stirring it. So it's a little bit tedious, but I think that we're going to think it's worth it in the end. I didn't tell you about one of the secret ingredients in there that Chloe has added. It's sage, fresh sage, and I'm just really excited about pumpkin risotto with sage in it. That just sounds delicious, delicious, delicious. So I think that's about ready to add another cup. All right, geez, that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. Shoot. But it looks incredible. Look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. And we're not even done yet, but you can see how all the broth has been absorbed, and you see how the rice actually changed shape. And if you could see the texture, it's now soft. Okay, now we're going to add the pumpkin, and we need a cup of this pumpkin. Where did I do with my cup? It's over here. Okay, we need a cup of this pumpkin. And you know what? This is going to leave some left over for making some pumpkin lattes in a healthy manner.
What about oatmeal?
Well, we could make oatmeal, but I already did that. And I know your kids love this. Derek said that his kids will eat pumpkin just right out of the can. Like he'll put it on a plate and they will just eat it. So obviously they want the beta carotene and the other stuff in there. So this is going to be really good. Look at this. Wow. This is beautiful. And it matches my shirt, did you notice? So we've got that all stirred in, and then it says to add a little bit of salt, which we will do. And it says like an amount, but we're just going to add what I think is right. And then we're going to add some peppercorns. And I like to use colored peppercorns because, once again, every color has a different set of antioxidants. So we've got those rainbow peppercorns in the pepper mill. And then, this is a secret ingredient that she uses. It's fresh nutmeg. And many of you might think this is a cheese grater, but it's not. It's a nutmeg grater. And I risked TSA scrutiny to bring this out here to Denver with me. And I'm just going to grind up a little bit of this. And fresh nutmeg is so much better than I mean, I can just smell it just right here. You wouldn't do that if you had already, you know, ground in a can nutmeg. And the stronger something smells, the higher it is in antioxidants. I think that's amazing. All right, so that is it. That was pretty easy. It was a little time consuming, but the whole process was pretty easy. And we're going to get out a bowl, and it says to add fresh sage, and look how cute that is. It says to put it on the top. I think the next time I make it, I'm going to try stirring it in, because I think it would be good like that. But we're going to chop some up. We're going to just layer it over the top as a garnish. And I think it's going to be delicious, but I'm going to make Derek taste it first. Scoop it up. Oh, these are pretty bowls. And you know, risotto is pretty rich, and this one is going to be rich too, but it's rich from pumpkin and not from butter and cream, so I love that. And then we're just going to put a little bit of the sage over the top. And I think I could have done that a little bit cuter, but it's still really beautiful. Want to give it a try, Derek?
Absolutely.
And this could be your first course in your Thanksgiving meal. Instead of having soup, you could actually have pumpkin risotto. And as the week goes on, we'll show you more and more courses that you can add. So stay tuned, because we've got lots of holiday episodes of Cook with Joy coming up for you. Have a great Thanksgiving.